All right, let's get right into it. When you think of Elon Musk, your mind probably jumps to a bunch of different things, right? Cars, rockets, maybe even brain implants? But what if I told you there's a single unifying idea that connects all of it? Kind of like his own personal theory of everything.
See, in a recent, really wide-ranging conversation, he started laying out all the pieces of this grand vision. And it's a vision that goes way beyond just making money or hitting quarterly targets. It really all comes down to one big question. Behind all the companies and all the headlines, what's the actual end game here?
Because the answer, it turns out, isn't just about building a bunch of successful businesses. According to him, it's about this huge philosophical mission, a mission to understand the very nature of reality itself. And his plan for getting there is, well, it's pretty out there.
Okay, so the first piece of this massive puzzle actually starts somewhere you might not expect at all. A social media app. I know, it sounds almost normal, right? But as you're about to see, it's just the very first step on a very, very long journey.
Yep, that's right. We're talking about the app that used to be Twitter. For most of us, it's a place to catch up on news, a kind of digital town square. But in this bigger framework, it's meant to be the foundational layer for something much, much bigger.
And there it is, right from the source. The goal for X isn't just about posting and sharing, it's to build a tool that helps all of humanity think as one single entity. But what on earth does that actually mean?
So this idea of a collective consciousness, what is it? Well, think of it like this. It's the theory that if we can radically improve the quality and the speed of information flowing between all of us, the group itself becomes more. We get smarter, more capable, and way greater than just the sum of our individual brains.
And the analogy he uses for this is actually pretty brilliant. A single cell, on its own, is super basic. But get trillions of them working together, and they create you, a complex human being. By that same logic, he argues that one single person can't build a spaceship. It's impossible. But a collection of humans, a human collective, absolutely can. So the whole goal becomes about upgrading the quality of that collective intelligence.
So, okay, if we're building this giant global brain, what kind of world is it even for? Well, that leads us to the second layer of this vision, and honestly, this might be the most radical part. A future where the whole idea of having a job is completely obsolete.
He actually predicts that the leaps we're about to see in AI and robotics will be so huge that within 2 decades, nobody will have to work. Work will become a hobby, something you just do if you feel like it. And this slide really nails the incredible shift he's talking about. We would go from a world that's defined by scarcity, where we need jobs to survive, to a world of total abundance. A world where AI and robots can create pretty much any good or service you can imagine. And in a world like that, he even says that money itself might not even be necessary anymore.
And listen, the timeline he puts on this isn't some far-off sci-fi future. He's talking less than 20 years. That's a wild prediction that makes this whole thing feel incredibly close.
Now, this is where things start to get really philosophical. We've talked about the what, this idea of a collective consciousness and a world without work. But now we're going to get into the ultimate why.
I mean, that's the logical question, right? If AI and robots can give us this world of complete abundance, freeing us from ever having to work again, what's left for us to do? What's our purpose? Well, that's exactly why we would need to upgrade humanity's intelligence. And the inspiration for the answer comes from a kind of funny place. The classic sci-fi book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. If you haven't read it, the central joke is that a giant supercomputer figures out the answer to life, the universe, and everything. And the answer is 42. The problem is, nobody knows what the original question was. And that right there is the key. The whole mission isn't actually to find the answers. It's to evolve our collective mind to the point where we're finally smart enough to even ask the right questions about what reality is. It's like the universe is the answer, and we're just trying to figure out the question.
And that brings us to the final and, frankly, most mind-bending layer of this whole theory. The ultimate question that this new, super-expanded consciousness might finally be able to tackle. So, what is it? What is that huge, fundamental question that, right now, we're not even smart enough to really ask in the right way?
He thinks it might just be the simulation hypothesis. The idea that our entire universe, everything we see and feel, is just an incredibly advanced computer simulation. Now, his logic for this, what he calls the video game argument, is actually pretty simple. Just look at the progress of video games.
50 years ago, we had Pong, 2 lines and a dot. Today, we have photorealistic, massive multiplayer worlds. So if you just assume that trend of improvement continues at any rate at all, it's basically inevitable that we will create simulations that you can't tell apart from reality. And if that happens, there will be billions of simulated realities, but only one base reality. So statistically, what are the odds we just happen to be in the single original one?
And then he adds one last twist. Think about it. When we run simulations or play video games, we get rid of the boring ones, right? We keep playing the ones that are interesting. So from a sort of Darwinian point of view, the simulations that are most likely to survive and keep running are the most interesting ones, which he suggests means the most interesting outcome in our reality is probably the most likely one to happen.
So, there you have it. From a social media app to a world without work, all the way to a quest to understand the universe and our possible place inside a simulation, it's a genuine theory of everything. And it leaves us with one last huge question to think about. If our reality really is optimized for being interesting, what incredible, bizarre, and absolutely fascinating things could happen next?